Arizona Realty brings you Ignite Elementals, Session 7, Negotiate the Deal with Nicci, Violette.
We are talking today about negotiating the deal, negotiating contracts, and if you've been on an Ignite with Nicci, you know how amazing she is. Get your pens ready. You're going to end up rewatching the video, I'm sure. Nicci is just a fantastic agent, runs her own team, has a great example of systems models, starting her day early, following up with her clients, and having this knack of just negotiating in such a powerful way. So I know that we're going to learn lots from her. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Nicci.
That's a little bit of an intro. I'm not sure it's all true, but we'll roll with it. Sounds good. So the early morning part is right? But that's about it. No, so yeah, I've been doing this. I don't know. I did like 10 years of new home sales, and then I think I'm coming up this August on my 7th year at this market center doing resale, and I love it. So so everything we're going to talk about today is it doesn't matter if it's the listing side or the buy side, right? At the end of the day, you have one main goal when you're negotiating a contract, whether like I said, whether you're the listing agent or you're the selling agent, the buying agent, it is to, get the house under contract, to get your clients, into a new house if they're selling this one, or, wherever they're going to, or if this is their home, getting them in it when they're buying it. I say this, whenever I'm talking to new agents, they go, oh my God, I don't know how to negotiate a deal. Most everybody has been negotiating your whole life. I mean, if you really think about it, if you have kids, there's nothing harder than negotiating with a 2-year-old to go to the bathroom on using the big potty. Or, I got a 16-year-old that just got his license. This is the most negotiating I've ever done in my life. But mom, but can't I this? Well, how about if I just go down the street? Or how about this? Or how about that? Everything that you do is negotiating, when you were a teen. If you're lucky enough that you don't have a bunch of kids that you're having to negotiate with, but you've negotiated when you were a teen, when you were that 16-year-old. Okay, mom, so here's the deal. If I go and I do all the mowing of the lawns on Friday, can I go out Friday, Friday night? Or can I go out Saturday? Can I drive my car? In my house, that was the big thing. Like we had a car. We didn't understand it. We weren't allowed to drive our friends in it. So it was always what can I do so that mom will let me drive the car, but have friends in it? You've been negotiating your whole life. And at the end of the day, what is the ultimate goal of negotiating? Anyone?
Close the deal.
Close the deal. But close the deal so that it's a win-win for both sides. Mom got her lawn mowed, and kid got to go out with her friends. Everybody won, right? And it's the same with a buyer and a seller. And if you're representing the buyers, you want to make sure you kind of look at things from the angle of the seller. Like, you know what? The house is vacant. So, they're going to want a quicker close. So we can maybe offer a little less money because if we could close sooner, right? So it's always, we'll talk about this a little bit more. It's always price and terms. And it doesn't matter, again, what side of the deal you're on as the agent. It's how can you win? How can both sides win? And I even pointed out, it's not really your clients. They don't care about whether the other side feels like they won. But if you can get them to understand that if they do look at it from the other, from the seller side or from the buyer side, it'll help them negotiate as well. Because if you think about it, who all are you negotiating with in a deal? Your clients and the other agent and the other people, like the sellers or the buyers, right? So it's not just you and the other agent that you have to deal with. You have to deal with your clients, and you have to deal with the other clients on the other side. So it's a lot of moving parts. So it's how can everyone win, kind of a thing. So when we talk about with negotiating, really how it's laid out is it's the 3 P's. You got to prepare, you got to present, and then you got to, what's the third one? Anyone? Here we go, position yourself. So we'll talk about all 3 of these, and it's kind of like the, beginning, middle, and end, how to make it all work, right? And so 90% of the time I don't really go with the book. I'm kind of using it, so I might kind of skip around. Bear with me. And please feel free to yell out and go, hey, I have a question, or if you've seen something different, let me know. Because that's the thing too is, I give this class, I negotiate one way. Martha would give it and she would do stuff completely different. Agents on my own team, they do things different. I saw someone do something the other day on my team and I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Never thought of that. So like yell out, because the thing with real estate, what
was it? If it was brilliant, let's hear it. Don't just gloss over it.
I can't quite yet. I wish I could, but it's not. That's a
tease.
It's not, I know, I'm sorry. But maybe later. I'll text him and see. We're not quite done with it. But anyways, it was just, you have to think outside the box when you're negotiating. And that's really what it is. We've got someone and he's negotiating and his client is his sister. And so that adds like a whole nother level of complications to it, right? So, having to figure out how to negotiate with her, we're ready to go. We're ready to list the house. All of a sudden she's freaking out. He's trying to, so now how do you negotiate with a freaked out client? You're negotiating before you even find a house and put it under contract. If you really think about it, right? You're negotiating for your commission when you're in a listing appointment. You're negotiating to be hired as a buyer's agent. You're doing the buyer consult. So the whole process, everything we do is just a negotiation. But anyway, so all point is that there's so many ways to do things. And learn from each other. We're constantly talking. I have a good friend of mine. She's been an agent for, 17, 18 years. She just called last night just to check in. And she was telling me, about some issues she's run into that she's never seen before. So you think 17 years, you've seen it all. Nope. I work with Joanne. Joanne's been in real estate for 43 years. She saw something totally new and we had to figure out and work around it. Her clients were buying a house, and this is literally 3 days before closing, the seller died. It was in a horrible, horrible motorcycle accident, but the wife was still there. So then they came at us with okay, can we stay in the house a little bit longer? There was a whole new renegotiation. Never seen that, so don't get freaked out, because every single deal is going to be new and different. So, so I think that the big thing that you want to think about is, how does it a win for everyone? And most importantly, your client, it needs to be a win for them, but it is going to be a much smoother transaction if it's a win for the other client as well, right? So I like these tips that they pointed out. Make sure you be professional. I have worked with some agents where, they get super offended at your offer, and then they just come back and they're so unprofessional and they're so mean. And it's like, but have you even talked to your clients about it? Like, you kind of have to take emotion out of it, which is tough, because all salespeople that are worth their salt, they get emotional. They just do. It's kind of, and taking and, parlaying that out and just thinking about only your client. Don't think about your commission. Don't think about, you need to get this done so you can pay your mortgage. You need to think about, is this best interest for your client, right? But anyways, I've dealt with a lot of unprofessional people. Just try to always keep it above board. And remember the goal, right, is the signed contract. The first goal is getting something signed. The second one is actually closing it. We're seeing, I was just on a call with my title company rep the other day, and I asked her, what is she seeing change-wise? And she said, right now with the COVID, we're seeing more and more deals fall out. So why do you think, because of this situation that we're in, we're seeing more deals fall out? She said normally they only see 2 or 3 a month. They're seeing 7 to 10. So that's like a huge number. That's not even 50%. I mean, that's a lot. So why do you think in this market we would be seeing that? Anyone?
People are losing their jobs.
Some people are losing their jobs. Yep. And it was, so like a month ago, we were on a call with our lender and he said, hey, ask if you've got a listing and you get an offer on it, ask the listing agent, you know, or the lender, hey, what do the clients do? If they're in the healthcare industry, you know, you're solid. Is that true anymore? No.
Nope.
Oh,
No,
God, no.
I have 3 friends that are nurses. They're all at the lake hanging out.
Yeah, I do
Everybody's
too.
being laid off. Yeah. So, you know, so that was 30 days ago. Oh, if they're in the healthcare industry, you're solid. Look at that. All of a sudden in 30 days, the healthcare industry is not. What could possibly be another reason?
Working in the hospitality industry, there are some banks that will not even loan to someone who has hospitality, whether you're a general manager, whether you're COO, they will not loan to anybody who's in the hospitality field, which is the biggest industry in the world, and it's now been destroyed.
Yeah. Yep. It's crazy how they're being more and more, and then on top of that, so add to that level, all of a sudden, you know, just getting loans are a little bit tougher. They've increased, did you guys know they increased the credit score limit? Now I have seen a few lenders, so before if you had a 580, we could maybe get you in to do something. But the other, you know, now it's like what, 620? I think some people are going back to the 580. They were scared of what happened in 2008. I mean, we were seeing people, if they were breathing, they were getting loans. That's when I was doing new homes. They were getting loans. It was unbelievable. My sister's best friend, she was a college grad. She was working, you know, she was working part-time, or no, she had a full-time job. They gave her a loan for a $270,000 house in this little development that I was working. Couldn't believe it. Guess what? It ended up getting foreclosed on. What she didn't know is that it was an ARM. So down the road, all of a sudden, the rate went up. She wasn't expecting it, to the tune of $400 a month. That's a lot of money when you're making, you know, $12, $13 a month, an hour. So yeah, so they're being, you know, a little bit more picky on who they'll give loans to. What about this? What kind of a market are we in right now? Sellers market. So what does that mean to you, or what does that mean to your clients? Try to get rid of that. So
There are less houses on the market than there are buyers.
less
So
houses.
the
Yep.
buyer
Right.
that wants something, they need to be aggressive about it.
So what we're seeing happen is they get in, they end up in a bidding war. They get all emotional about it. They're super excited about it, and they win, right? This just happened to me a couple weeks ago. My clients, you know, went into the house. They liked it, but we ended up in a bidding war. They won. And we'll talk about a trick that a lot of agents don't know about, which is the escalation clause, and that's how we won. But then they got scared. They felt that they overpaid, and so they backed out. They still loved the house, but they ended up paying $10,000 more than in their mind they were going to pay for the house. So they were overpaying for it, and they backed out. So we're seeing a lot of buyer's remorse as well.
Nicci,
We have 200, this is an interesting fact. You guys, once the tours start, you know, happening again, I really suggest you go to them. The Scottsdale Luxury Tour, it's every other Thursday. The PV has a good tour. 85254 has a good tour. You just go on to SAR's website, and Savar and PAR, all 3 of them. You can go to any of them. And James, we didn't get to the appraisal. They canceled, so it didn't matter. I talked to them about that though. James
Gotcha.
just
Okay.
asked, you know, did it appraise? And that's what I explained to them, is if it appraises, you know, we would be okay. But it doesn't matter if it appraised. In their head, they were out.
they were overpaying, right? Okay.
They were overpaying, yeah. Okay, sorry. So I got sidetracked.
Tours.
Tours. So go on the tours. You will get so many great facts that you can then turn around and use when talking to people, incorporate them in your script. So this is the last tour that we went on. The guy was giving us stats. There is a net of 220 people a day moving into Maricopa County a day.
Wow.
And it's all based on it's cheaper to live here. California is about ready to raise, if this one bill passes, the property taxes are going to go insane. They're already crazy. And we have Chandler, which they're starting to call the mini, it's all tech. Everybody's out there buying Silicon Valley. That's what I was trying to do. They're starting to call it the mini Silicon Valley. So people are coming in here. So if we're down 37% in inventory, but yet we have 220 people a day coming in needing to buy, you know, and of course they want to buy. They were living in $1 million places out there. They're going to come out here and for $500,000, they're buying a mansion. They think they've hit the jackpot. And then we've got these low interest rates, right? These are the lowest interest rates we've seen in a while. Make sure you keep up on the interest rates. That's really going to help you with negotiation stuff. So usually every Tuesday they come out with, you know, what the new rates are going to be. Keep up on that, or make sure that you get on a lender's email list that sends out weekly updates on what's going on. There's a couple of lenders out there. They do, you know, videos like, hey, this week, this is what's going on. I was on a lender. He was really good. Every Friday, I got a phone call, a robocall from him basically, and it was a voicemail of, hey, I'm here for you for the weekend and this is what the rates are and, you know, let me know. And he listed out all the rates. So just try to hook up with a lender because you don't need to know what's going on, you know, in the details of a deal with mortgage brokers, but you need to know the basics, especially when you're, you know, negotiating stuff. So anyways, so yeah, and then this point 3, control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. I say this all the time. Gary Keller says it, so I say it to my team. I say it to anyone that I'm talking to. As an agent, it is super hard. If you're a salesperson, you want to talk. You love to talk. It is so hard to just shut up. Just shut up. Say nothing. I call an agent and say, hey, my clients are thinking about, you know, putting an offer in on 123 Main Street. We saw it yesterday. You know, what else should I know about the property? And say nothing, because agents will start to talk. And if they're, especially if they're a newer agent and they haven't had the training, they'll unload the whole chest for you. And now all of a sudden you thought you were going to be offering, you know, 400,000. And now after talking to this guy that's just giving you the motivation for his client that he has to by such and such date be out or he's going to lose this job opportunity. Now, you know, they're desperate. Now I'm offering 380, you know, don't, you know, be careful what you say, but listen to what they say, you know, and ask leading questions so that you get the agents to talk. It's kind of the same thing with your clients. Let them talk. The more you let them talk, the more you're going to learn, right? So take out the emotion, make sure you be professional. Remember the goal at the end of the day, you know, what is it? It's the win-win. And then if you've done your job right, whether it's a listing or it's a buyer, understand your client's motivation. What is it? You know, they need to get out of I have somebody that's in a 2-story and they have to get into a single story because she broke her femur, 67 years old. She's never going upstairs to her master bedroom again. That's the motivation. And you need to kind of, you know, what is it? Maybe it's always one of 3 things or 4 things. It's always people are moving because of job, family, money, or it's just like neighborhoods. They want to live in a different area. But make sure that you know what that motivation is, okay? So when you're sitting there in the listing appointment, you know, why are you moving? Where are you going to go? What's the reason behind it? You know, maybe they're downsizing. And then use that. Remember that. Make sure you're taking good notes and go, remember, I know that this house doesn't have this, and that, because all of a sudden, once they get under contract, they start to get wishy-washy. And so you want to remind them of the motivation. Okay. And what is it you want to remember? We're selling because you really want to get back to California. You really want to, Andrew's going through this right now with his deal with his sister. I'm going to put you on the spot, Andrew. She went into freak out mode because she doesn't quite have a place lined up yet, but he talked her off the ledge, remind her of the motivation. Like, what, we need to just get you out there. You have to remind them of their own motivation because they kind of forget. Super emotional. And we go through it every day, right? So we've seen it all and you're like, this really isn't that big of a deal. You know what? That's not really helpful to them because it's a big deal to them. So don't, brush it off. Okay.
Nicci, can I say something on that point too?
Yeah.
Because that's such a good point. And I've just learned so much in these last couple of weeks that listening is so important, because a lot of the times, when people are yelling at you and things like that, like it's so easy to take that personally and feel like, oh man, they're mad at me, or, I'm not providing the right information. And people are going through a lot. And everyone that I've talked to, buying a home or selling a home, it is the most stressful, emotional thing that they're going through. So I think one of you said it months ago, that you're kind of like a realtor / therapist. And it is so true. And I found that the more consultative, the more caring, the more empathetic that I have been, just the better time that I have working with people. And, even my own sister, just really trying to listen and get to the root of what the stress is and, hey, how can I help? Instead of, like what you're saying is like wildly irrational. Yesterday you said this and today you're saying this, just saying, hey, like what's on your mind? What's come up? What's got you feeling that way? And trying to get to the root of the problems. It really, really helps.
Yeah, 30 days, 45 days when you're under contract, you're constantly trying to keep that deal together, just constantly. And if you can't, then, don't beat yourself down, get up and do another one, with the people. Sometimes the house is a bad house. It looks beautiful. And then you get the inspection report. It needs a whole new roof. Your clients want a whole new roof. The sellers can't put a roof on or they won't. Okay, next house. The other thing too is you might be dealing with an agent on the other side who's super desperate, who is broke, who does need this paycheck. And, that's difficult because now you're dealing with them and their clients. And they both have, unfortunately, two different motivations. You have to kind of you have no motivation. You want to get the deal done, but you need to get the deal done that's right for your client. That's how you'll get the referrals. Because if you come off as what we call commission breath, you will turn off clients, but you might also lose the deal too, in that. So yeah, the more you listen, Gary Keller said this at Mega Camp. He said, the one who talks more bonds more with the other side. So if you don't say much and you just ask some questions and you let the other side talk and talk and talk, now you've kind of created this, rapport with the other agent too. And now when you go and you submit the offer, the agent might say to their clients, this is a really great agent. This will be a nice, smooth deal. You want to make sure that you're gonna have to work with this agent. Now, if they're horrible, you still don't tell your clients that. Okay, they don't want to hear about it. That's your job. That's what you're getting paid for, to deal with the difficult agent on the other side. That's your job, to be that buffer. So, whether it's a horrible agent or it's a great agent, I just go, oh, we'll make it work, this guy. But let me tell you, if you're in a multiple offer situation and you're the buyer's agent and you've got two other agents and maybe they're not as nice or they're not as communicative or they're not as thorough with their paperwork, and you are, when that listing agent goes to their clients, do you think they're going to maybe kind of push your deal maybe a little bit more to the front, going, look, it's solid on paper. This agent knows her stuff. They've already had the lender call me, right? Anything and everything you can do to give yourself a step up would be awesome. So, and then this is the last one. I love this. Don't be attached to the outcome. You'll do hundreds or thousands of transactions in your career. Don't let a deal affect your mindset. I lost $1 million deal my very first year. $1 million deal. Lost the client altogether. It took me all of 2 minutes to get over it because I didn't have the luxury of time to stress about it. And I remember my team leader coming in and going, that's like the least emotional I've ever seen anyone get upset about losing $1 million deal. I can't control it. That's kind of how I roll. It was something that was out of my control. You know, somebody was moving, all of a sudden they weren't moving, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. But just try to think like it's, you know, whether you lose this particular, maybe you lose this contract, you know, they're still going to buy. That's great. You know, find them the next house, move on. Okay. Just move on. It's really tough not to get personal, you know, and get mad. I have a listing for $620,000. I just got an offer for $550,000. I almost called the agent and said, what the hell are you doing? Like, we're in a seller's market. We're getting, you know, pretty close to asking price right now. Why are you even submitting this? You know, I mean, I was just so irate. So I had to cool down before I then called my client because I had to have a level head. So make sure that you're always level headed when you talk to them. I'm super Irish and it's just, you know, and I may have gotten it after I had a margarita. So, you know, definitely calm down. All right. So I like this. I don't know what page it is. For me, it's on 13, but definitely look this page over. This is a great one. This is what we talked about. Every single deal, there's always two things. It comes down to price and terms, always. And if you explain this to your clients, whether they're the buyers or the sellers in the beginning, you'll be set. Okay. And so here's a great example. I have clients moving here from New York. Okay. And I went and showed them the house via FaceTime. They couldn't be here. So I FaceTime videoed the house to them and they really, really liked it, but they're in no rush. They really weren't going to buy until June or July. So this was actually last month. So I kind of just thought I was showing them the house to give them an idea. They actually ended up really liking it and said, we want to write an offer on it. But we don't really need to be out there until the summer. So their motivation is they're coming out here. They have to be here by August 10th up and running because their son's coming to school out here to one of the private schools in Scottsdale. So that's their motivation. So I call the agent and I said, you know, what's the story? You know, why are they leaving? So questions you can ask is, you know, why are they leaving? Where are the sellers going? Why, you know, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? It's almost like what's wrong with the house, but usually it's not. It's, you know, it's one of those other four things. And he said, you know what? They're just downsizing, but they're building a new condo. And so theirs is not going to be ready for a while. Really? In my head, I just went, wow, winner. So they would love to stay there a little bit longer. Well, that's great because my clients don't want to move out for a while. So all of a sudden we offered, $600,000 house and we offered $560,000, which kind of made my heart drop because that was really kind of low for 3 days on the market, but we had really great terms. We were going to let them stay in the house until their other house was built so they don't have to do a double move. And so we went back and forth. We ended up settling at $570,000 for a $600,000 house, 3 days on the market because they're not going to have to do a double move. So they were willing to take a hit on the price because my clients were willing to do a 75-day close. And I mean, so what's win-win for everyone? My clients got $30,000 less. That's a lot of money. They don't have to do a double move. They don't have to deal with the agony of it. You know, definitely not, you know, that they're saving 30 grand or anything, but it's just a hassle, right? The other times it might be price. It might be where, so they got the great price, but it's the term. So it was a win for everyone. I'm trying to think of other times. There's been times where the price has been good because it's vacant and they can close quick, you know? So we just put in an offer, a really low offer on one, but we were offering cash. We could close in 2 weeks. The house was vacant. It was obvious they don't want to keep carrying the costs on it, right? So you offer less money for that. And your clients, you know what? Sometimes it's gut feel too. So anyways, price and terms, it's always one of those, you know. I had one client that said, listen, we're offering a lot of low money, but tell the agent, we're not going to ask for a single thing to be done on the inspection. We're going to get the inspection done, but we're not going to ask for anything because we're gutting the whole house anyways, you know. So so that's the next thing. When you're sitting there and you're preparing all of this and you actually present the offer, make sure that you let the other side know, like, who your clients are. Lately, I've been having my clients write letters because we're in a seller's market and we're up against several people. You know, and don't assume because a house has been on the market for 30 days or 40 days. I just did one of the houses on the market for 97 days. Guess what? Same day he got 3 offers after 97 days on the market. I thought, oh, we're shoo-in. We're shoo-in. We're going to offer less, but we're cash, but it's vacant. He's been sitting on it. We lost, you know, because somebody else came in. They were also cash. They were closer to the asking price, you know. So you're not always going to win them. But don't assume that because it's been on the market for a while that all of a sudden it might start having activity. That's kind of what happens. But so look at all these things, right? So some of the terms, what are the closing costs? Maybe it's one of those where it's, we're going to offer a little bit more money, but your sellers are new buyers and they don't have a lot of money. So let's offer full price, but we're going to ask for $5,000 towards closing costs. Okay. If you're going to go that route of asking for closing costs, talk to the lender and go, hey, can you just give me an idea approximately? And then you're going to have to talk to the title company and go, hey, what are your closing costs? You know, what are kind of, and you can get a ballpark idea. You can actually get pretty good idea of what it is. You know, don't go just put in a vague, you know, number, try to do some research on it, but that's a negotiating deal. I'm going to offer more. I had one where it was a $310,000. They offered $315,000, but then they asked for $5,000 back towards closing costs. Right. Okay. You're still getting your $310,000. The closing date again.
For just a second, Nicci. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to bring this up because it's come up in the past couple of days. Yeah. If you are working with a buyer that's asking for concessions, please, when you get to the Binzer and the seller potentially comes back and offers concessions, before you accept anything, please make sure that you're having a conversation with the lender to make sure of the amount of concessions that your buyer can accept, because there are limits to that affects their loan, or having a conversation also with the lender about possibly lowering the purchase price and learning about if that can affect the deal or not. So always kind of like Nicci was saying in the beginning here, if you're asking for concessions, make sure you're having a conversation with your lender. But then when you're going through that other negotiation with the Binzer, make sure before you accept anything that you're also having another conversation with the lender.
Yeah, I had someone on my team, and I wasn't aware of what was going on, and they had gotten $5,000 in closing costs. And then in the Binzer, they accepted another $2,000. The problem was the closing costs were only about $4,200. So basically they lost $2,000, you know, so make sure you even need it, you know, but again, like Jackie said, just always talk to the lender. Do not be scared to talk to the lender, you know, and say, so agents don't want to lower the price. Why? Because it lowers their commission, you know. It's easier to give concessions, but if they don't need it. I mean, the worst call that you want is a call from the lender that says, we have $3,000 extra. What do you want me to do with it? Like, can you call the title or call the home warranty and see if they can get, like, I don't know, 3 more years home warranty? Like, what, you know, don't leave money on the table for sure. So closing costs, the closing date, right? That's always a negotiation point. You know, maybe they want to stay longer. Maybe they want a shorter close. When I call and I'm on the buy side and I call the listing agent, I just ask them, you know, a couple of simple things, you know, tell me about your clients, you know, how long, I mean, you know, how long they've lived there, but ask them, you know, they've lived there for, you know, only a couple of years. Why are they leaving? What, where they go, they'll say, oh, well, they got to move. Oh, okay. So now it's a relocation deal. So they're under a time constraint, or they're downsizing. Now they're building or whatever, I also ask them, what, the big thing is, what are the time frames, right? Because that's always going to help you with the terms, and then is there anything else about the house that we should know? Maybe that, has come up. Sometimes the listing agents forget about stuff and then it comes up and, oh yeah, I forgot to put in there that the roof is actually only 4 years old, or we just found out this, or we just found out that. Okay. Conveyances. So things that convey, this is always a fun one. If you're on the listing side and you're in there and you're talking to your clients and you're like, hey, if you don't want that chandelier, we can write it in that says that chandelier doesn't convey, but it's just easier. You're going to have to take it down anyways. Let's just take it down and replace it with something. Also, really read the contract. Make sure that you understand, and I want to say it's on page 6, that what actually has to stay with a house is, I just got nailed, actually. I never have had this happen before. My clients took down all of the curtain rods and curtains. I didn't tell them that they could or couldn't, and I should have. It's in the contract. So they closed, and 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, they left the curtain rods, but the curtains actually are in our contract as having to stay. And so make sure that you know the contract. Do you know the little floaty thing in the pool guys that clean, the little suckers? People were taking those. So 2 years ago, they revised our contract, and now those have to stay. TVs. If a TV is mounted on a wall and they want to take that mount with them, I tell them to take it down beforehand, because anything that's attached to the house needs to go. Also, look, they just changed and updated it with all the smart home system stuff. So we had someone on our team, and it was a vacant house. They had put up there one of the cameras. It actually looked like, it was pretty cool. It looked like solar lights on the front of their house, but there was a camera in the middle. And they took that down. It was so they could just watch the house while they were having it, on the market. And it was one of the things that the buyers really liked. So we ended up having to tell them, hey, you have to put it back up. It's in the contract. The agent didn't know, and we were nice about it. The girl on my team, she was very professional. She just sent a quick email. Hey, just want to let you know, we went and drove by the house, and they pulled that thing out, and maybe they didn't know that that has to stay. It's attached, So make sure when you're doing listings that you're very clear on what they want to stay and what they want to go. And keep this in mind. Do not write offers that also start including furniture. We're not furniture salespeople. Negotiate the house. Then afterwards, if you want to negotiate the furniture, and you're going to get some clients will say this, well, I'll pay this full price, but I want all the furniture, or I want this, or I want that. And I always say to them, you know what? Then it gets messy. Let's just do the house, because everybody thinks that their furniture is worth 3 times more than they paid for it. It's a whole nother messy ball game. And honestly, you can't have it in the contract if there's a loan on it. Lenders don't loan on furniture. They just don't. Okay. Earnest money. If you are up against a lot of people and your people can put down a little bit more money, do it. That's another term that's a really good one that shows you're a stronger buyer. Okay. And then repairs, that's a whole nother negotiation that happens. They can say we're not doing anything. Do you guys know that the contract actually states as is, that the house that they're buying is as is? However, they are given the luxury of having time to do an inspection. And if during that inspection time, they, or if after the inspection they don't like it, they can, that is one of their outs. But technically, per the contract, they're buying it as is. So, but I'll talk to people about that. All right, we have to roll. I'm getting, this is a good one though. Please make sure you obey the laws. I love that they put this in here on it. I was cracking up when I was reading this yesterday. I'm like, wow, but it's scary how you may be breaking a law you don't even know is there. So just, if you're when negotiating, and you start getting into weird out of the box stuff, you have an entire brokerage of 350 agents that you can ask anyone, throw it up on the Facebook thing, send it to Jackie, send it to me, send it to Martha, send it to anyone, and just be like, hey, have you seen this before? Or I want to make sure before I say this that I'm not, I'm not going to get in trouble. Because some people have done some crazy stuff. I was brand new. I got super in trouble. I almost lost my license. We were doing the walkthrough and I showed my clients, I said, oh, the code for the garage is this. Can't remember what it was, but here's the garage code. So when you guys, when we close tomorrow and stuff, you can go in and you can change it. I thought I was being helpful. Here's how you change it and all this kind of stuff. Guess what? I broke the law. I gave them the code. Guess what? They were from back east. They didn't know that here, when you sign doesn't mean you record. They thought they recorded. They thought I was giving them permission to move in. I didn't do my job in the beginning as a buyer's agent doing the whole buyer presentation. I wasn't doing those. And they started moving in. The house was empty. So the agent, the listing agent called. Oh, it was bad. He had to go over. We were taking his stuff out. It was horrible. So just common sense, it's a rookie move. I've got lots of them. Anyways.
No, I think this came up yesterday too. Someone, asked because it was vacant and they arranged to send the keys, but it was a reminder, wait until you get the confirmation from title that it's been recorded, that the deed has been recorded. And then it's like that, good to go. But and ask, like the agent asked, she did her job. She didn't know, she asked, and it saved her that, because that's what could have happened. So like Nicci's saying, ask. You have so many people here that if you ask someone and we don't know, someone will know. Someone will know and we'll get the answer. It's better to ask instead of do and then try to undo so that you don't have a fine or
yeah, that could have ended really badly. But we worked it out. It was an honest mistake. It wasn't intentional. It was just lack of communication, both on my part. Not both, only on my part. Well, they didn't tell me they were moving in, but I mean, here's the thing. I know I told them, but the problem is they get so excited. You have to remind. You sit there and you go, okay, this is the process. Whether you're a lister or buyer, this is the process. You constantly need to make sure that you keep reminding them of the next step. Okay, you're going to sign. I just, like my buyers from New York that are flying out, I think in a time span of 30 minutes, I explained to them 6 times, no, you're going to sign out in New York. Well, then can you leave the keys for us when we get there? No, we're not recording until 2 days after you get here. Wait, I don't understand. No, of course you don't. You come from a different state. They come from a contract state. There, and I sold in Colorado, we were at the table, we signed, and then they handed you the keys. That's, and they're like, well, what time do we record? It could be anywhere from 11 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. Well, I don't understand, because title sends the paperwork off to the county, and when the county records it, then we get a phone call. Wait, so what time is our appointment at the county? No, there is no appointment at the county. And I'm just sitting there and I'm saying the same thing over and over again. My 15-year-old was in the car cracking up. He goes, wow, now I know why you tell us everything over and over and over again, because it's just simple to us. It just makes sense. We've done it so many times. So make sure that the communication is key, right? So I'm talking out of both sides of my head here. Don't say a lot and listen a lot. Make sure you tell them everything and communicate a bunch, right? It's kind of it's tough. All right, so let's talk about, Jackie, do I have till 9:30? Is it 9:30 or is it 10?
Yeah, you have till 9:30. If you go a little bit over, it's fine. It's whatever you're good with. She can end meeting. She has the power, so it's like we're on till 10:15 because I'll do objection with them afterwards. So you're fine. Okay. I'll try to bust through this. I think that the first part is the most important, because if you're not really fully prepared with your clients or talking to the other agent, the rest of it is horrible, right? So presenting, and we've kind of just talked about it, talk to the agents beforehand. Now, if you're on the listing side and that agent calls you, make sure you don't give away too much. But this is where I always talk to them about, I'd love to use my title company. They'll make sure that they give them a great deal. Sometimes you can sweet talk them out of it.
find out information that you're not going to find out in the contract. Ask them questions about their buyers. Why are they moving? What is their deal? What's, that kind of a thing. If they have another house to sell. And then once you present the offer, so let's talk about presenting the offer, right? When I started, we actually presented in person. We'd go and walk into, the agent's office in Colorado and we present them. And they don't do that anymore. Everything's DocuSign. Everything is just email it over. So it's tough to get nonverbal cues. It's tough to really show your client side. I like having my clients write letters, especially if it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if it is a house that's $350 and there's 10 offers on it, or it's $1 million house and there's no offers on it. People want to know, humanize your clients, humanize them. I have a deal that just happened and the house was $550,000. First weekend, 4 offers. We were up to 475. Do you know he took the 550 deal because he actually ended up, just as luck would have it, met them. Actually met 3 of the 4 people because he was there working on his garage. He took the 550 deal because he loved those kids. Young couple, super excited to start their family, just got married 2 years ago. They had a love for Alaska. They had all this stuff in common and it floored me, but he was like, nope, we're going with the kids. I want to sell to the kids. And he went over and met with them and showed them how to do stuff. And he was just so excited that this young couple is getting the house. So humanize your people. If you can't, that's not always how it's going to be. Your clients aren't always going to meet the sellers. So try to do that, right? This is a good one. Stay calm and relaxed. I submitted an offer and the agent did call. Actually, it wasn't even the offer. It was a Binzer. Submitted a Binzer. And we listed a lot of stuff on it, but there was a lot that needed to be done. She called before even reading it. A lot of it was little. It was a lot of little stuff. And she called up and she said, do you know we have multiple backup offers? Like, this deal is dead. I said, oh my God, I just emailed it to you 5 minutes ago. How is this deal dead? My buyers are the ones that would have to kill it. She goes, they're not going to do all this and your buyers will walk. And I said, well, first of all, have you talked to your sellers? Well, no, not yet. I go, okay, so maybe you should talk to your sellers and then get back to me and I'll let you know what my clients are going to do. Well, this deal's dead. So we closed. Don't freak out, and definitely don't freak out on the other agent, because now I know she's a horrible negotiator, but anyways, so just stay calm, and especially with your clients, try to stay calm with them. It's tough. I've had clients yelling at me, and it's tough to stay calm. I had one guy, every time I call him, it was back when it was a buyer's market and things weren't selling, instantly. He is like, well, what have you done? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he went off. You just stay calm. I'm going to tell you the same thing. Your house in your price range of the 600,000 is almost 4 months average days on market. We're only 2 months in. I need you. This is why we did a 6-month contract. This is because I told you we weren't going to sell right away. Set their expectations. And then, giving your offer the best chance. Just there's a couple of things you could do. So the other thing is the escalation clause. Have you guys heard about this?
We talked about it very briefly a few months ago. So I think a good lesson. So we're seeing them a lot now, both as buyers, agents, and listings, because when I started out here, we were in a buyer's market. I hadn't heard about an escalation clause until like a couple of years ago. And then I'm like, what? This is so cool. So, and if you need to do it, make sure that, reach out to Jackie or call me. I'll definitely help you out, because this has helped me win so many deals. An escalation clause. Now, keep in mind though, there are agents on the other side that don't like them. I actually had one guy call me and say, you need to remove that. I won't even deal with an escalation clause. Okay. It's kind of floored, but all right, we'll remove it. But basically, here's the deal. The house is $300,000.
Your clients are able, they want to write the offer for 300, but they know there's multiple offers. They're paying cash, so there's no appraisal. So they're willing to go up to 310. So what you do is you write it like this. The offer is 300,000. And then you write in there the escalation clause. It's in the contract. You don't, it's not in there. You add it in, okay? On that, that whole single page of the contract that's completely blank. It's, for notes, added, additional, whatever. This is where you would put it. And you can even look up the wording. It's worded different, but basically, buyer is willing to go $1,000, or maybe it's $2,000. You have this conversation with your clients above the highest offer, up to $310,000. So the benefit is you're not just writing a $310,000 offer. Your clients might get it so they got 3 other offers, and there's a 300 and there's a 305 is the highest. Now you're going to get it for 306. So instead of getting it for 310, you save like that $4,000. Here's the only thing about this that gets tricky. It still has to appraise. So if your buyers, if this house is kind of a little priced high, you can't go too much above if you think it won't appraise. So you have to be careful of that. We actually turned one away because we knew it wouldn't appraise. We were pretty confident it wouldn't. So we just didn't even go that route.
It's all cash. Does it have to appraise still?
All cash doesn't have to. This is what I'm saying is if it's from a lender point, then it has to appraise. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. If you're doing an all cash deal and you still are a little concerned that it might not appraise, you can write an appraisal. There is an addendum you can put in for a cash offer appraisal. There's an appraisal addendum. You can throw it in, or you can throw it in there in the contract that you still want it to be appraised. Make sure when you send the email over, attached, hi, Mr. Agent, attached is my offer, as well as a letter from my clients, or let me tell you a little bit about my clients. If I just have buyers write their letter way in the beginning, and then they just kind of adjust it to the specialty of that house. But if they don't have time, it's, my clients are moving here from Chicago, they're family oriented, and the layout of this house is going to be awesome for them. The pool, the kids can't wait, blah, 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 blah. But then also in there, like, I just want to, reiterate, they're doing an escalation clause. And they are cash. However, we still would like it appraised. Kind of reiterate the things, that are in there. Also, as we discussed, my clients are flexible on the closing date. So if your guys need more time, just let me know. We can adjust the closing date. Make sure you kind of bullet point it out, but be careful, right? Because salespeople, we're super ADD. So don't write these long, drawn out, emails that are 6 paragraphs. I'm the type of person, I just won't even read it. My dad sent me one the other day, and then he called me. He goes, well, what'd you think? And it's to help him with his business. I go, oh my God, I couldn't read it. I just couldn't. I go, why don't you just bullet point it for me? So you got to kind of know that there's, you might be thinking you're getting your point across, and you might be doing the opposite. Conversely, you can be almost too uninformative. So there's that fine line, right?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I quite don't understand. If it's a cash offer, who needs to appraise them? Like you said, there's no appraisal if it's a cash offer, right?
If it's a cash offer, then technically there's no appraisal. That being said, if your buyers are worried about it or they want the appraisal, they can do it. And there are appraisers out there. They hire them. I have a guy, his name is Alan, and he goes out and he's like $400 or $500, and he does appraisals. And so you can make it contingent on it appraising. I had somebody, and we were convinced that it was too high. So we made it, even though he was paying cash, he still wanted it. And guess what? It was $20,000 too high. And so we renegotiated the price. But I've also seen where if it's, if they're putting down a lot of money, and this is where you need to kind of talk to your lenders, and I don't want to get too convoluted, but if they're putting down a lot of money, but it's still a loan and there's still an appraisal, but you're in a bidding war, if they're putting down a lot, then the appraisal, if it, you know, appraises at 10,000 less, your clients can still get the house at that 10,000 less. So Kate told me the other day, she's seeing a lot of people waiving the appraisal on ones where their clients are putting down a large amount of money to kind of give them that better term.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
And I just wanted to go back to the escalation clause for just a second, because Andrew, I saw typed in, which is true, and want to make sure everybody saw that or knows. In order for, if the escalation clause gets accepted, the selling agent has to send you back proof so that you can verify that they didn't just say, oh, it's 310,000, but really the highest offer came in at 305. So they have to send back verification. And the other really important thing that Nicci repeated with the escalation clause is you have to have an ending number. If you just say client is willing to go $1,000 above asking price, you could get yourself into a world of trouble if they don't want to go higher than a certain amount. So make sure that there's an end cap to that. And again, before you write your first one, make sure that you're asking either myself, Nicci, Kate, before you get involved in something like that.
Yeah, I put it in my wording, you know, what Jackie just said. I put in there for them to show proof. And actually, if you Google escalation clause verbiage, you'll see a bunch of different, you know, ways that you can write it out. But every single time you want to see, even if you're in a multiple offer situation, you get to see, you know, you get to see the other ones if it comes to that, you know, where you're saying that they have to submit it. So, but just put it in there, put it in the writing, you know, that the seller has to provide proof. So this is a new thing right now with being in the seller's market. We're seeing a lot more of it in the last year or so. So it's not uncommon, but now because we're in this seller's market, what we're not seeing a lot of is the seller concessions. So, you know, you're gonna, you know, once we get into a buyer's market, you guys are all gonna kind of need to learn, how do you win a deal as a listing agent? You know, what are you going to do different? How are you going to make your house stand out? There's 4 other houses that's the same exact floor plan. You know, what makes yours different or better, or the one that they should buy, right? So it's kind of the market that you're in. So, but don't wait for that market to happen. Learn about it now. Gary Keller says that we should always be planning and learning and looking ahead at the market we're going to be in, not the market we're in now, because now you're too reactionary and you're behind. So you need to be adjusting your marketing plans. You need to be adjusting, you know, how you negotiate things based on what's coming down the pipeline. So the biggest thing on presenting offers is, you know, I'm a big communicator. And so it's like, first call the agent and say, hey, we're putting in an offer. You know, I just want to find out, you know, is there anything I should know about it, you know, or anything. And then it's, you know, submitting the offer. Don't just send it over from, you know, DocuSign with attached docs that say, you know, see attached with no information. Next is you have the lender call. If it's not cash, you get your lender and you go, hey, would you mind giving the agent a call and just reiterating how solid, you know, our buyers are. There's not a single lender that won't do that. And then I send them a text. Hey, just want to let you know, just sent you an offer. They'll either say I'm out showing property, or I just saw it, received. And conversely, if you're on the listing side, make sure that you pick up the phone. And if you haven't talked to the agent, because not every agent's going to be as good as you, and they're not going to pick up the phone and call you. You call them. Tell me a little bit about your buyers. Tell me what's going on. Tell me, you know, what's their story. And then it's, you know, from there, find out, you know, that's going to help you with the negotiations too. Let that agent talk. So that's kind of, make sure that you're on both sides talking to each other, agent wise. There's some deals I've done where I've never talked to the agent. All they do is text. They won't even pick up the phone. It's the craziest thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school. You know, that's just kind of me. When you're sitting there and, so let's see, what are some other things I just want to talk. So that's the presenting side. Oh, and just make sure if you're the listing side, make sure that you say, oh, I received it, you know, and then you'll look at it. Now, here's another thing. It's just kind of common practice right now that you give 24 hours. But if you're in, I got one the other night. I don't even know why. She sent it at 8 at night and she gave me 4-hour window to respond. 4 hours.
That works for us people that wake up early.
I'm like, okay, so I go to bed at 8:30 and here's what's worse. This is how bad this agent was. She called me before to ask a little bit about it. And I told her, I said, well, my clients are in Wisconsin. They're not here right now, blah, blah, blah. So she submitted an offer at 8. So they're 2 hours ahead. Am I calling them at 10 o'clock at night? No. Well, actually I did, but I know them and I know they're up late, so just kind of, again, it's that listening. So, okay. And then the last part of it is just kind of positioning, right? So we're not doing all of this, all of these fun activities. There was a really cool video. I could not get it to work, that I kind of wanted to do, but anyways.
Hey, Nicci.
Yeah.
Quick question on the people that were in Wisconsin 2 hours ahead. Are you sending DocuSign documents out and they're signing them quickly and getting them right back to you the same time? I mean, you can't fax stuff these days. You can't,
Right. Yeah, we did. I mean, honestly, on that one. So here's the thing. We actually didn't respond. This is the one that was 70,000 lower than our list price. And he actually wanted to respond by going 25,000 over our list price. So right now in this seller's market, the lower that you go in with your offer, the higher the counter offer tends to be, I've noticed. But a few years ago when we were in a buyer's market, I was getting stuff, 10%. So if it was $400,000 house, I was writing a 360 offer and no one was getting offended. And we were ending up somewhere around 380, but this guy was so late. But yeah, to your point, I texted him first. I said, hey, are you up? And he said, yeah. And so I called him, but I know he's a night owl. Yeah, you can just send it over. And yeah, I mean, I've been up at 5 a.m. having stuff DocuSigned, but we ended up not doing it. Now, that being said, so how about this? How about if they had sent it with that short time window but I couldn't get a hold of my clients and they only gave me 4 hours, but then they decide they do want to counter it. But now I'm not countering until 8 o'clock the next morning.
We've been practicing this.
Okay, so what do we do?
Who's going to say, what do you do in your counter?
They've checked out.
I think Eric, were you going to say something?
Can you ask again?
So if you get an offer, you get an offer, you're the listing agent, or you get an offer, you're the listing agent, and they give you, you can't respond in the right amount of time. They give you, even if it's 24 hours and your clients are still back and forth or whatever, what do you do when in your counter, or even if you accept it? Well, no, you'd still have to counter this. What do you do in the counter if it's past the time that the offer expired?
You write it in that you're.
You have to write it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone agrees for that change. Buyer, seller agree, or something.
And it'll happen. You might give one. So I did one once, and we wrote it first thing. It was first on the market. We wrote it on a Friday afternoon. We gave them until Saturday. I actually did Saturday morning because I was worried. And they said, the agent called me up and said, listen, they are going to wait until Sunday night. They're just going to get all offers and then they're going to wait and see until Sunday night. Are your clients still interested? And so I had to call my clients and go, they're basically going to try to, create a bidding war. Are you into it? Some people love it. Some people that stresses them out. Nope. If they're not willing to take our offer now, we're out, we're walking. And so it might be 2 or 3 days later. So then you get the counter back, or an accepted back, but they still have to do the counter so that it's actually documented in there, that the counter time has been extended to such and such date and time.
Right. And if you've already accepted one and realized that after the fact, then you do an addendum and you just state it in the addendum for everyone to sign. Yeah.
You just want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. For that. So, but it'll happen, and we're seeing that. So we're seeing people give less and less time to consider a deal because they don't want someone else to come in and beat them out, you know? And again, this is all in communicating with your clients, just explaining to them like, hey, you know, I just want to tell you right now, we're in a seller's market. We're getting, you know, right around 2 to 3% of the ask price. So if your budget's $400,000, let's not look at $450,000 houses because I'm not getting that for you for $400,000. And when they're a listing and you've got a listing and then we're in a buyer's market, I mean, I remember, you know, a few years ago, we were going into listing appointments going, okay, we're going to list it at 400. I don't want you to be shocked if the first offer comes in at 360 because that's what the market's doing right now. Buyers are coming in and they're just, you know, shooting really low, around 10%. If you know, let them know what to expect, then they're not going to be mad at you. But if you don't let them know and they get an offer for 360, who are they going to be mad at? You. It's always your fault. Remember that. Just like being a mom, it's always your fault. So if you communicate it out in advance, you'll be good. Okay. And then again, with the positioning. So now that you've presented it, now you're positioning yourself. You just need to make sure that you're solid, that your client's solid, that the motivation on both sides are solid, and that you really, you need to stay calm throughout the whole thing because you're negotiating the contract back and forth, but then you've got to now negotiate the Binzer. You might have to negotiate some changes down the road with, you know, all of a sudden they want to close earlier. They want to do this. They want to, I mean, it's not just you get the contract under and then you're done. It's constant. Here's the thing too, that's important when you're with your clients. We kind of have a set thing where, you know, every Tuesday, reach out to your clients because once you're done with that inspection period, now there's 2 or 3 weeks where you're not really talking to them. Don't just ignore your clients. Make sure you check in and say, hey, I saw this. I somehow got copied on an email from another agent. I thought this was brilliant. She shot out an email to her clients that said, okay, we're going into the appraisal period and the period where you're going to do more with the lender and title company. I'm not involved as much in the next couple of weeks, but please know I'm still here. Please call me. Please reach out to me. If you don't understand something you're reading or signing, you know, call me. If I don't have the answer, I'll get it for you. Like, that was awesome. You know, don't just all of a sudden disappear for 2 weeks. This one that I'm doing, that's a 75-day close, I still talk to them 2 or 3 times a week. Just a quick text. Hey, just checking in. You guys doing okay? Are you packing? How's the weather out there? That's all. You know, funny little jokes. Just make sure they know you're still around. You're not into it just for the commission check. Because that's what they all think, is that, you know, we all make millions and we're only in it for the money.
Hey, Nicci, do you mind? I know we're kind of over, but do you mind talking a couple minutes about maybe negotiating around the Binzer? When, yeah. I mean, I think you coming from an attorney state too know it's very different out here and what people want and ask for and how you kind of have those conversations.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of my old team leaders, she said there in Maine, there is no inspection. There is no Binzer. You buy the house, period. You can get an inspection done, but that's it. That's on you if you want to pay for it. So in Binzer's, inspections go like this, right? It's either, I say this when I do my, when I do both the listing presentation and the buyer presentation. Here's what's going to happen. The inspector is going to give a 20 to 30 page, I don't care how clean the house is, a huge list of things that need to be fixed. Some of them are small, some of them are pretty big. What I tell people is the big items are going to need to be fixed. And, you know, if it's a safety issue, it does. Now, as the contract reads, you know, they don't have to do anything, but it's going to keep coming up. So you might as well fix it the first go round. That's what I tell my listers. And on the buy side, it's like, you know, don't ask for all the little stuff. The door jammed, you know, the door doesn't align. That's a handyman thing. Ask for the big things: plumbing, electrical, roof, HVAC. You know, those are the big things. You know, the window, they will literally put in there that the window doesn't slide smoothly. Really, that's probably some WD-40. But if it's the window has a cracked seal in it, that's a huge deal. You know, that can start letting in air, and now your electric bill is going up or down, you know. So really have the conversation with your clients, no matter what side they are, of what are the outcomes. So the buyers can ask for, you know, ask for a bunch of stuff to be done, and the sellers can say, yeah, we'll do it all. No, we're not doing anything. We'll do some of it, and here are the items we're going to do. Or how about this? I just give you a cash, you know, incentive on it. When I bought my house, I gave them a massive list of stuff. And, but then we ended up doing a quicker close because I had to leave and go to Texas for mega camp. So I wanted to close beforehand so it could just all be painted while I was gone, right? It was all about me. But I said to him, I said, how about this? Here's my stuff. Just give me a credit of $2,000. That helped me with the closing costs. And I took care of everything after because it wasn't a big deal. So again, I had to go back in and negotiate with them, you know, like, hey, I want to close earlier, but because I want to close earlier, how about if we do this, right? Again, it's that win-win. If I give you this, you give me this, right? Tell it to my kids, if you be good for 15 minutes while I go in the grocery store, I will let you stay up 10 minutes later tonight. Like to a 10-year-old, that's like gold. You know, it's the same thing. So here's the other thing I really want to press on bins or stuff. Make sure that you call, if you know that your clients are going to ask for something big. We just had this on our team, the foundation work. The house was actually pretty new. There was major foundation issue to the tune of $5,000. I called the other agent and I said, you guys are not going to be expecting this, but I just want to have this conversation. I'm not giving you the binzer yet. We're still looking at a couple other things, but I want to give you a heads up. This is coming down the pipeline. He was so appreciative that you don't want to just all of a sudden throw a grenade at him in an email. Don't be scared to pick up the phone and talk to the other agent and say, hey, before this deal goes south, let's talk about it. You know, I've had agents, great buyer's agents, call me up and say, okay, if we give you a lot of stuff, are your clients going to freak out? Like what, you know, what can we expect? Because it's lots of little stuff, but if you look at it, it's just all little stuff, and it's one handyman goes there for a few hours and it's done. And, you know, let's have the conversation beforehand. You negotiate with them. Now you got to negotiate with your clients. I've had clients go, I dropped the price $30,000. I'm not doing a damn thing. And then they start swearing and yelling, and you're just sitting there going, okay. As soon as you're done with your adult size temper tantrum, we'll have a conversation here. But you'll get it. You might get an emotional person. What you need to do is go, I understand that you gave them a huge concession. But this is going to come up on every single inspection. This is kind of a big deal. You know, maybe it's the fire compression, you know, issue. We have that going on in one of our listings right now. You know, it's a safety thing. Whether you sell the house for full price or for less, or chances are, you know, the general rule of thumb is the first offer is usually the best. 90% of the time that's true. But just make sure that when you're negotiating now with your clients, that you're also saying, you know, look, and I've said this to clients, I've said this on the buyer's agent side, we just got a smoking deal on this house. So let's not nitpick them. Let's just go at them with the big stuff. And that way, when the listing agent gets it, they can say to them, look, there was 37 items and they only asked for 7. Let's, like, this is easy. Also, plan ahead. Think about it. Already in your head go, oh, okay. Yeah, they asked for all these items, but that's just one. I could have a handyman out there and get that done in 2 hours for you. And then these other 2 items are just a plumber. So really, we just need a handyman and a plumber, and this is over. Think about it beforehand before you talk to them, and negotiating, you know, with your clients, because they're, as on the listing side, they don't want to do anything, and on the buyer side, they want everything done, right? That's where a lot of deals, if you have agents that aren't like really thinking it through and talking, like that one agent that called me and said, this deal's going to be, is dead. She hadn't even talked to her clients, nor had she even looked at it. I said to her, I go, so there's a new agent on our team and he was really cute. I mean, there was the same item was an issue in 3 different bedrooms. So he wrote it out, each individual one. What you can write in there is items number 1, 7, and 10, repair or replace broken window seal. But he wrote it out like there were 6 GFCIs that were off. A GFCI is only a $25 part to replace, but he wrote out all 6 of them. Instead of just saying items, blah, 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 replace broken GFCI. Had he done that, it would have looked, so I made him kind of retype it. So so all of a sudden it was this and it went to this, right? It doesn't look as overwhelming. It also shows that, you really just only needed 1 or 2 people. Negotiating the benzers can be super, super, super scary, but as long as you communicate, and again, reiterate the motivation. Listen, do you really want to kill this deal over, not spending a couple $100s to fix a few tiles? You need to get out of here. Your job starts. You wanted to have time to go, this allows you the time to get up to Colorado and get your house in order there before you actually have to start your job. Always remind them of the motivation, whether they're the buyers or the sellers. Is that enough?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Every Benzer is different. Every contract's different. Every deal is different. Every deal with the same client is different too. So just lean on the market center. That's what they're there for.
No, that was
Anything
great.
else, Jackie, you want to discuss?
That was great. I love that explanation on it. And I think it was a perfect follow-up. If for everybody that was on yesterday, when Bubba, he must have said it 100 times about communication and communicating with the other agent. And I think it reiterated and you brought new things to light. But again, it shows the importance of what you guys are doing as successful agents, talking about that relationship between not only your clients, but the other agent, and how important and valuable that is to having deals be successful. So I think
hands down. I focused for a long time for about 4 or 5 years, just on Fountain Hills. There's an agent up here. She's #1 agent. And we for fun, we added it up. We've done 17 deals together.
Wow.
Every single time we do a deal, I send her a $5 Starbucks card. After 1 year, I think I went in and I dropped off a bottle of champagne to her. So I have to say, the fact that we work really well together, we communicate really well, we have a lot of respect for each other. There's a couple of times we've been in multiple offer situations, and I guarantee you, she said to them, I've worked with Nicci. I know this is going to be a smooth deal. That gives you a head up. End the deal on a note. Send them a thank you card. If they're really good, get them over to talk to David and get them in the market center and put them in your downline.
Yep.
But even honestly, even if it was a bad one, send them a card anyways. Kill them with kindness, Okay.
Let's get some ahas for Nicci. That was awesome. I knew we would be taking lots of notes, and you delivered and went above and beyond. So let's hear a few people share out some takeaways.
My aha is keep your mouth shut and listen. And communicate.
Sonia, hold on. You're going in and out.
Sorry.
Okay, wait. Now I think you're back. Try again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. My aha is the
I think we lost her again.
We were just getting, if you can hear us, Sonia, type it in the chat box and I'll read it out loud.
I think she was saying the escalation clause.
Okay, that sounds about right. Who else? Maybe get 1 or 2 more.
I love that you said you were the mom in the deals, and I think that really is coming from the heart, where you're treating your clients as if they're part of the family to make sure they're taken care of, and when you do that, they trust you.
Yeah, you have to come from contribution. You really, really, truly have to. You are, I've said it, Andrew said it, you're a marriage counselor, you're sometimes a financial planner, you're more than just you're a dog walker, you might be, listen, I've cleaned kitchens. I don't clean my own, but I have cleaned other people's, you're everything.
Yes. And Sonia said, yes, it was the escalation clause.
Yeah, that one is awesome. Especially the only time that doesn't work is if you have an agent on the other side that's not open to that. And I have had a few that have gone, I think that's just shady. Just give us your highest and best. And I'm like, Legally, you have to present this. Sorry.
Love it.
I
Well,
liked
thank
all
you.
the, I was just gonna say, I really liked all the real life examples that you gave were really helpful and informing.
You know what? And it's funny. I tell a lot of my clients that too. So the more deals you do, the more experience you have, the more you can share. And it's kind of good to say, you know what, to your clients, yeah, I've had this happen before, but it all worked out. So just, you got to trust me on it, you know? So that's just kind of comes with time.
And with that being said, Carrie, you've just heard these stories from Nicci, you know, and Nicci's part of our market center. So you can say, you know, we've had agents in our market center experience this. Agents, like people on our team and in our company, have experienced this. So if you don't have it yet, you'll get it. But in the meantime, leverage the stories of others.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds good.
for sure.
I'm always talking to Martha and Lena and Bubba. I've done a couple of deals with Bubba. I'm always talking to Dawn. You know, there's Jackie. There's kind of a group of us that all went through Ignite around the same time. And we always are kind of talking to each other, and, you know, because it's good to hear what happened, you know, to somebody else, you know, I mean, and then what did you do? How did you come about it? Like with Joanne, with that poor woman who, you know, whose husband died in a motorcycle accident. And it's like, they talked about it in school, but what does that actually mean? Wait, what is it? The deal still goes through, even though he died. What do we have to do? You know,
Right.
it's always good. And then, yeah, just like you use the numbers of the market center, like, you know, we've done X amount of deals, you know, use our stories.
Yeah.
We've seen it all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right?
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Nicci. And thanks for giving us extra time this morning too. We really appreciate you. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I always go over. Jackie's going to quit asking me to teach.
No, I love it. We always there's so many takeaways. So I
This is
appreciate
the first time
it.
I taught this one. This is fun.
Yeah. Well, it'll come back around in July. So we'll let you pick a new topic.
Oh, July. I better teach from inside in July. All right.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
Nicci.
This video was brought to you by Keller Williams Arizona Realty TV. Check out the rest of our channel for more amazing real estate training videos. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified when a new episode comes out.